Me and Gongora are called in together on 2981 because I don't have my headphones. 28. We're called into IFB1. We're just on the same line.
Studios with breaking news from Southwest Houston with reports of a shooting, an active shooter at the Lakewood Church along the Southwest Freeway. Here's what we know. It's not a whole lot at this particular hour, but the call dropped just about an hour ago, again, of an active shooter, some sort of shooting at Lakewood Church. At this point, there is heavy law enforcement presence along the Southwest Freeway and among the streets all around Lakewood Church. Houston TransStar shot here looking west, southwest, and the majority of the blinking lights you see parked right there along the feeder road that's right in front of Lakewood Church. About 12 minutes ago, Lakewood Church on its X account, also formerly known as Twitter, said there is an active situation involving shots fired at Lakewood. Law enforcement is on the scene. That is all the information we have at this time. Please pray for Lakewood and our community, says that posting again about 15 minutes ago. Here's a present and imagery from our responding vehicles showing some heavy traffic right in front of Lakewood Church. And Sheriff Ed Gonzalez, Harris County Sheriff Ed Gonzalez tweeted just not long ago that the suspected shooter is down. His words. I believe we can go to our reporter, Abigail Dye. She is on the scene around Lakewood Church. Abigail, what do you know? What do you see? What can you share with us?
Well, Tom, at this point, we know exactly what you said from officials, that there was possibly an active shooter at the church at one point, and that shooter is possibly down, shot by deputies. Now, that's from the tweet from the Harris County Sheriff Ed Gonzalez. And on scene, we haven't received any official info, but we're going to show you what we're looking at right now. So just down here is Lakewood Church. Way down, you can see that there's a very heavy police presence, like the video that you saw earlier. I mean, we have dozens and dozens of units here, and they continue to show up. We know that Houston police is handling this situation, while, of course, the Harris County Sheriff's Office has responded as well. And this is the feeder road coming off of 69. Just in front of us is the Wesleyan exit, so that exit is clearly blocked off. You aren't getting off at that exit anytime soon. And from Buffalo Speedway West is blocked off, and I'm sure well past Lakewood Church there. So this entire area is very congested. We'll turn around and show you the traffic. So this is the intersection from the Southwest Freeway feeder road and Buffalo Speedway. And it's an absolute mess. You can't head west. You can't get on the highway from here, and you can't get off the highway at Wesleyan, I said before. And we have seen a few different people come out of the church, not physically out of the church, but coming from the church. We spoke to someone who just came from the church, and she told us that she heard several shots fired inside the church, and everyone hit the ground at that time, which is just such a scary thing to think about during a church service, being at church and hearing gunfire. She told me that she didn't physically see anyone get shot, so we're not sure if there are any victims at this point. But again, like the Harris County Sheriff had tweeted, we do believe that a deputy may have shot this shooter. So we do have confirmed from an eyewitness that there were multiple shots going off at the church. Everyone hit the ground, and she's not sure what happened after that. She said all of her family was just laying on the ground, and luckily they got out of that situation safe. But again, you're looking at the scene right here off of the feeder road out in front of the Lakewood Church there. And like I said, we've got dozens and dozens of units out here from Houston Police, HSCO, and again, Houston Police are heading this investigation at this time. But this is an absolute scary and chaotic situation. And like you said, Tom, I mean, everyone just keep Lakewood Church in your thoughts and your prayers at this time. We're going to continue to stay right here out on scene. I'm sure that the police will have a staging area set up for us soon where we'll be able to get some more official information. But as of right now, as you can see, they're very busy investigating what happened here, getting everything, putting all these pieces together, getting this scene cleared up. But we're going to stay right here and continue to gather some information for you, Tom.
Abigail Dye at Lakewood Church along the Southwest Freeway right now. Stand by. We will come back to you as information becomes available again. This is something that has been developing over the last hour or so. And we look at this tweet from Sheriff Ed Gonzalez. It says information remains preliminary as things remain dynamic. It is believed that a possible shooter is down, shot by one of our deputies on scene. I am en route to that scene, says Harris County Sheriff Ed Gonzalez, and that was within the last hour. Don't have an actual timestamp on that particular note, that post from him. So Lakewood Church on a Sunday, as you can imagine, is an active place. It's a busy place. It is a day of worship. As Lakewood Church posts, there is an active situation involving shots fired at Lakewood. Law enforcement is on the scene. That's all the information we have at this time. Please pray for Lakewood Church and our community. That post from Lakewood, again, within the last about 20 minutes at this particular point. TransStar looking southwest along the Southwest Freeway. The feeder road is to the far right of your screen, and up about mid-screen you see all of the blinking lights. That is the heavy police presence right in front of Lakewood Church. The response from law enforcement, Harris County Constable Precinct 1, the Harris County Sheriff's Office, the Houston Police Department, among others. We don't know who all has responded to this, but you can bet it is everybody who is available. And I can tell you our studios are less than a mile away from Lakewood Church along the Southwest Freeway. And coming into work, the Wesleyan Crossroad is the closest, most major intersection for us. And it is remarkable the number of police who are in the area cordoning off this whole quadrant of space while law enforcement tries to determine what exactly happened inside Lakewood Church just after 2 o'clock this afternoon. We're not going to show this to you, but I'm looking at social media right now at a clip of video. It runs about 23 seconds that purports to show one of Lakewood's, it appears to be a Spanish language streaming service of some sort. And in the background, you can hear gunshots while this man is speaking into a microphone on camera. Again, in the background, you hear 3 in this video that purports to be the shooting that happened inside Lakewood. 3 quick shots, boom, 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 a couple of seconds, and then another shot. And then you see people on this video clip that purports to show in kind of the background of inside Lakewood when the shooting happened. You see people running, and the speaker on the camera looking over his shoulder off to his right to see what that was. And then the slate goes dark to the Lakewood logo, and they cut the cord on that particular streaming service. We do not know what happened there. We don't know who was involved, why they did what they did. But again, Harris County Sheriff Ed Gonzalez tells us that the purported shooter, the suspected shooter, has been shot by deputies on the scene. We don't know how that person was armed. Just a cursory listen to the gunshots in this video clip It sounds like the rounds of a handgun, as opposed to a larger sounding shot of a rifle perhaps, but simply conjecture at this point as we look at this video clip sent to us as people go along the Southwest Freeway, again heading southwest. That is the feeder road through the windshield there in front of Lakewood Church. If you are just joining us, we are breaking into programming with news from Southwest Houston of a suspected active shooter, or at least one point an active shooter, inside Lakewood Church this afternoon. It happened just after 2 o'clock this afternoon. There was seemingly a fair amount of activity still on this Sunday afternoon inside Lakewood. We don't know what service may or may not have been going on, or what was coming up, or what had just concluded. But it's Sunday, it's a church, it's a big church, so no big surprise that it was busy. And then this video that I was just describing that purports to show the scene inside Lakewood while the gunfire happens in the background. I can tell you, I've watched it, I've heard it. It sounds like, again, 3 quick shots, a couple of seconds, and then one more shot as people run away in the background. We don't know if anybody besides the shooter, the suspected shooter, was shot. And again, that news came to us from Harris County Sheriff Ed Gonzalez. But the police presence, the law enforcement presence in and around Lakewood Church is massive right now. Going all the way down to Wesleyan Street, farther southwest down to Drexler, and all of Richmond Avenue headed from that point east toward the church, cordoning off that sizable piece of property with a fair amount of police presence there and a fair amount of activity and businesses stuck in the middle of all that. At the very least, our reporter Abigail Dye was telling us that the traffic is slow. No big shock there. As you look at the Southwest Freeway from our TransStar camera, that's outbound traffic right there. Rubbernecking, people slowing down to see what's going on. And then on the surface streets, there is no easy way to get anywhere while the law enforcement presence that is there tries to determine what exactly they are dealing with. Still a lot of mystery at this point, as you can imagine, certainly on our part, because we do not have any official word beyond what has been tweeted by authorities and Lakewood Church. But it's very early in this. It's just over an hour into what happened, and if perhaps someone was injured besides the suspected shooter, you've got to believe certainly that that first responders are in the process of trying to triage anyone who may have been injured and getting them off to medical care, most likely at the medical center. At that point, I'm told that we are awaiting the Houston Police Department, and Abigail mentioned this just a little bit ago, to set up some sort of staging area for public information officers to share what they know. And that's what we're waiting for at this point. While we wait for that time to happen, I want to go back to Abigail Dye. She is just very near Lakewood Church, and she's been gathering information from the ground. Abigail.
Yeah, Tom, we're probably about a block up from the church that's east of the church. We're on the corner of Buffalo and the Southwest feeder road here. And so over my shoulder, it's hard to see. They have us backed up for good reason. They're doing a lot of investigating. But down here is where Lakewood Church is. And you can see dozens and dozens of police and deputy units. They are down there just trying to piece all of this together. Like we've told you, there was a tweet that the Harris County Sheriff tweeted out saying that a shooter is possibly down, possibly shot by a deputy at this church. And man, is that something really scary to hear on a Sunday. I mean, I just can't imagine being in a church service and hearing shots go off. And that's exactly what a witness told us. They told us that they were in church with their family at the service, and they heard multiple gunshots. And at that time, they say everyone hit the ground, and I just can't imagine. Like I said, I can't imagine how scary those moments were for them. This woman I was talking to says she didn't physically see the shooter and she didn't physically see any victims get shot. But like we said, the Harris County Sheriff did tweet out that it's possible that a deputy ended up shooting that armed person who was firing shots. Again, we just don't know if anyone else is injured at this time. We'll spin the camera around so you can see what is happening right now. Like I said, this is Buffalo Speedway and the Southwest Freeway service road. So everything, this like Galleria area, you could call it, is just, I mean, it is just a mess. Just a mess. You can't come west off this feeder road and you cannot get off at the Wesleyan exit. We have traffic backed up for blocks over here, so definitely avoid this area. You're not going to be getting close to the church and any capacity here. You can see it's just backed up for blocks and blocks, and the scene doesn't seem to be changing too much at this point. We have seen multiple units come through. We saw a very large Houston police trailer come through. So they have all hands on deck here. There's a lot to sift through on a scene like this. You have an active shooter, a possible active shooter. We don't know if there are any victims. And lots of different people walking down the street, not right at this moment, but throughout the past 20 minutes or so coming out of that church. So police have a lot to be dealing with. Of course, we have police over here who have set up this perimeter, and the perimeter is at least here from the Buffalo Speedway west. I'm sure it goes up for at least a couple blocks. We haven't been down there at this point. And the Harris County Sheriff, or the Houston Police, rather, have put out a staging area at this point. So we will be able to head to that staging area and get some more information here in the next coming 20 minutes or so. But as you could hear, there are sirens going off. We still have a lot of police units, a lot of response coming into the area. And like I said, just a lot of activity here. Heavy traffic, heavy police presence, and a very, very scary morning for anyone who is inside that church. Again, that witness telling me that she just heard shots ring out. She's at church with her family, like so many on Sunday morning, and they immediately hit the ground, just terrified for their lives. And you could tell that she was very shaken up, very well spoken for having gone through something so traumatic, but very shaken up, very scared, as was everyone in that church this morning, I'm sure. But again, the Harris County Sheriff did tweet out that the deputy possibly shot this shooter, and we just don't know if anyone else is hurt at this time, but still a very active scene, very chaotic situation. We'll stay right here on the ground, possibly head over to that staging area to try to get some more official information to bring to you, Tom.
Abigail Dye along the Southwest Freeway, just about a block away from the Lakewood Church. There is a heavy police presence, law enforcement presence cordoning off that scene. This from Houston Police. The active scene is at Lakewood Church on the Southwest Freeway service road. Traffic is very heavy near and on the service road. Please avoid the area. Use alternate routes. Public information officers are en route to the scene. They will provide any and all updates here. And certainly as that information becomes available. We do certainly want to hear from people who were inside the building when it happened this afternoon, shortly after 2 o'clock. Again, if you're joining us, we are at 3:30 in the afternoon on a Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday, and a day of worship for so many people. We are breaking into our regular coverage with this news of an active shooter at Lakewood Church shortly after 2 o'clock this afternoon, as we look at video from around the area. You notice these officers, they are looking outward right now. There is a sense that the immediate threat has been contained. We do have the word from Harris County Sheriff Ed Gonzalez that a deputy shot the suspected shooter, He said, the sheriff says the shooter is down. So it would seem and it would appear that the immediate threat, again, may be contained. That law enforcement is really right now working to keep people out of the area while they triage anybody who may be injured and get people who were inside the church out of the church and to safety and away from what must be a devastating place. This, of course, we live in a time where all sorts of houses of worship worry about this sort of thing happening. And we have seen it happen here in Texas in the past. And we have seen it happen elsewhere in the country in the past. And it appears to have happened again here in Houston. A suspected shooter listed and identified as an active shooter just after 2 o'clock this afternoon, almost an hour and a half ago, opening fire of some sort inside Lakewood Church. We don't know who it was. We don't know why they did what they did. Don't know if it was a man or a woman. And we don't know if anybody may have been injured in that shooting. I was describing on social media, we will not show it to you at this point, but I have seen some video that purports to show a streaming service going on, a streaming presentation going on by Lakewood Church. A man speaking Spanish into the camera. There are people milling about. It appears there's an escalator in the background and some signage for Lakewood Church. And you hear in the background, you do not see it happen, but in the background you hear 3 successive shots. Boom, boom, boom. A brief pause, and then one more shot. And then you see people running away. And then that streaming video from Lakewood Church goes to black. They go to a logo of the church and they stop streaming whatever service they were doing. A lot of questions certainly to be asked and answered. Meantime, we do want to go to some video, a soundbite of someone who says she was inside at the time. Let's listen to that.
It was like 1:30, and then we started hearing like one shot, and we thought it was the instruments that had failed, but no, they started shooting more. That's when everybody threw themselves on the floor and everybody started running.
So she describes it happening around 1:30. The first calls came into law enforcement about 2:10 this afternoon. So hard to reconcile those two time differences. But she says she heard someone shooting, and then another shot, and then people throwing themselves down, getting low, and scurrying away. Sadly, we have had too much practice at hearing that particular story, that particular description of what happens when shots are fired, because so often people have decided that whatever their beef is, whatever their problem is, that there's only one way to solve it, and it's with a gun. You got to wonder what's going on in people's minds, that's the solution in their mind. As we try to figure out what happened at Lakewood Church this afternoon, as we look at this Houston TransStar shot of the Southwest Freeway, that is outbound traffic. You see the tail ends of those cars. And Lakewood Church right behind those trees, and the police presence, the law enforcement presence lined along the Southwest Freeway feeder road for all the responding officers, all the responding law enforcement. And I can tell you it is massive. I was mentioning earlier that our studios are about a mile away from Lakewood Church. They're along the Southwest Freeway, and the Wesleyan exit, the Wesleyan Crossroad, is the closest major intersection between us and Lakewood. And as you come around under the U-turn, under the Southwest Freeway, the presence was astounding. I personally counted just on Wesleyan, and it's, again, just under a mile away from Lakewood, dozens, plural, of law enforcement parked along Wesleyan, no one going across, as we now see Skyfox arriving on the scene. and trying to get its bearings for an overhead view of Lakewood Church. And it's need a slightly wider view so I can show you exactly what we're looking at here, but this is in the vicinity, but beyond that, hard to tell. Again, Skyfox just arriving on the scene as we try to figure out, and we wait for word of what may have happened inside Lakewood Church early this afternoon. Reports of an active shooter. That we first heard the call just after 2 o'clock this afternoon. Excuse me, pardon my cough there. Word that there was an active shooter. Singular person is what we've heard. As we get a closer look at this, this may well be people who have been staged outside of the church after being led away to safety. There we go, Lakewood Church in the foreground. That previous view was right behind Lakewood, so that would be just to the north of Lakewood. As law enforcement helped people get out of the building. We don't know how many people were in there at the time, but as we mentioned on this Sunday, it is a day of worship, so no big surprise, Lakewood is a very, very busy place. And as we look at this, that vehicle with the boxy trailer there pulling in, that is the bomb squad. We don't know why they're there. We have not heard that there is any suspicious package inside, though it may be precautionary. And again, we can just suppose there that once the suspected shooter was shot by a responding deputy, according to Harris County Sheriff Ed Gonzalez, that maybe there was a backpack and they don't want to go digging through that backpack, maybe, if it's there, without knowing what's in it. So it may seem prudent to call the bomb squad to bring them in to do what they do, what their expertise is, to look inside whatever belongings the suspected shooter may have had on their person at the time. And I was just looking here at some mapping so that I can keep my bearings as best as possible here. Skyfox there, this scene, again, this courtyard, just to the north. On the opposite side, told to drop their belongings and get out, led to safety, presumably by law enforcement, maybe of their own volition to get out, and staying a safe distance away while whatever danger may be inside is determined. Is that danger over? Has it been completely contained? Was there just one person? Is there more? As has happened in the past in this sorts of thing, law enforcement will do an exhaustive search of that massive building to look into the Houston area, to get some sense of how big Lakewood Church is. Before it was Lakewood Church, it was the Summit. It was a basketball auditorium where the Houston Rockets played before being renovated into the home of Lakewood Church. So think about a basketball arena and how big such a place might be. And then law enforcement has to search every nook and cranny, every corner, to make sure that there is no one else or nothing else that is of danger to anybody else. If you're just joining us, we are breaking in with breaking news from Lakewood Church in Southwest Houston about a suspected active shooter. That news came about an hour and a half ago, just after 2 o'clock this afternoon. And we have been told by Harris County Sheriff Ed Gonzalez that a suspected shooter was shot by a responding deputy and is down. It's the word the sheriff used, down. So what's more than that, we are awaiting official word. We have heard from Lakewood Church acknowledging an active shooter seen within the building. That's all that they could share at the time, whoever runs their social media account. That posted on X/Twitter. And I'm told that we have some additional comments, a soundbite from near the scene. Let's go listen to that.
At first it was like 2, and then within 5 minutes it was more than 2. It came out like one after another, and everybody started running.
And did you see anyone get shot?
I didn't see nothing because everybody started running, and we just feared for our lives.
Yeah. Are you doing okay? Like, how are you feeling right now?
I'm okay. I almost got in a panic attack, but I had to calm down for my daughter.
This post on X from Houston Police. The active scene is at Lakewood Church on the Southwest Freeway service road. Traffic is very heavy near and on the service road. Please avoid the area. Use alternate routes. Public information officers, that's PIO, en route to the scene will provide any and all updates here. So Skyfox now getting a closer look at those people who are in that courtyard just to the north of Lakewood Church on the opposite side of Lakewood from the Southwest Freeway. And we suspect, we presume, it's probably a pretty good bet that these are people who were parishioners, who were inside the church at the time that it happened. It's a busy place, Lakewood Church. And on Sunday, certainly no huge surprise. And we can only guess how many people were in here, but here there are dozens and dozens represented just in this particular shot, and who knows how many extras and others. We're not sure what service was going on at the time, what the church's programming is through the course of a Sunday. We can certainly manage to suspect that they keep themselves pretty busy. So the expectation would be that there would be a lot of people in that building. And as we look here at this scene from high above Greenway Plaza from Skyfox, there is, at least from far, far away, a sense of calm amongst these people now, while they probably think they're lucky stars that they are where they are, and trying to recount what on earth happened inside their church. Because, as we noted earlier, this is sadly something we have seen happen too many times around the country and here in Texas. And people who are in charge of houses of worship worry about this sort of thing for whatever reason, whatever motivates somebody to come inside and to exert whatever violence is on their mind on the people around them. We don't know who this person was. We don't know what their motivations were. We don't know if it was a man or a woman. We don't know who may or may not have been injured in the process here. I will describe, if you did not hear it earlier, it is on social media. It is a video clip that purports to show a streaming messaging of some sort. I would hazard to call it a service, but from Lakewood Church. There's a man speaking on camera. He's speaking Spanish. There's people milling about, going back and forth in the background. And in this video, in the background, you hear 3 quick shots. Boom, boom, boom. A pause, and then a 4th shot. And then you see those people in the background scurrying away. And then that video clip goes to an image of the Lakewood logo, and whatever service, whatever messaging was going on is brought to an end. Beyond that, we are left with lots of questions while we wait for official word information from the public information officers for the Houston Police Department, the Harris County Sheriff's Office, Harris County Precinct 1 Constable's Office. Those are the 3 lead agencies that we know are involved here. DPS, perhaps. We've not seen or heard from them, but it would not be a massive stretch of imagination. HPD is on scene to presumably deal with any injuries that may have occurred that need to be triaged and dealt with. And if somebody was injured in this, as we look at the Skyfox image of these emergency first responding vehicles, they're outside Lakewood Church, that if somebody was injured, they'll be stabilized, they'll be put in on an ambulance, and they will be rushed to the medical center, which is not far away from this area, just to the southeast, a couple of miles. And as with any case like this, lights and sirens and clearing the roadway to get out of the way if somebody is in need of medical care beyond what can be provided here at the scene. As we look from Skyfox above the Lakewood Church campus. Now, as we look and we talk about this courtyard that is to the north of Lakewood, this is what we're seeing, that green area. That image with the swimming pools, those are apartments, condominiums in between the church and that courtyard there at Greenway Plaza. That's Buffalo Speedway, that roadway to the right of your screen going north and south, and traffic has been blocked. The traffic that you do see, largely emergency vehicles, though that northbound traffic that going toward the top of your screen may be civilian vehicles. But these are people that we believed were inside Lakewood Church at the time. And again, that's Richmond Avenue that you see going left to right. And as we're looking at traffic being directed away from at least that block, we don't know exactly what all has been cordoned off by law enforcement, but certainly this immediate block on either side of Lakewood Church is inaccessible to any civilian vehicles, only first responders, while they go through the process, the arduous process of inspecting that entire building to determine it is safe or not. They've got to look through every nook and cranny, behind every door, every dark corner. Is there somebody there who should not be there? Is there somebody there besides the suspected shooter, who we're told by Harris County Sheriff Ed Gonzalez was shot and put down by a deputy? Is there anybody else in there that wishes harm to that church and the people in it? These are the questions we're waiting to have answers to while we look from Skyfox at, those are Houston Police Department and Harris County Sheriff vehicles, first responders. And thankfully, as you just read the body language, there does not appear to be any massive urgency to what's going on right now. And that is indicative that perhaps the scene is under control while they do that inspection of the building, just to make sure that it was just that one person. And that would be encouraging news. It would be greater encouraging news if we get word that no one else has been injured besides the person who went in there with a gun this afternoon, just after 2 o'clock, we were told, and opened fire inside Lakewood Church. As we continue to look here, and I've noted this before, you've got questions. We have questions. We don't have a whole lot of answers. We can just give you educated analysis of what we're seeing, because unfortunately we have seen this so many times before, where someone has got a grudge, a disagreement of some sort, can't handle it any other way than to open fire. You got to wonder what goes through the mind of somebody who decides that's how they're going to solve whatever problem they have. And as we go through this one more time, this example, we wonder, how do we get through to those minds to suggest perhaps there's another way? Don't know the answer. If we did, we would have done it already. While we look at this, Greenway Plaza, big bank of flags out front of the building, waving gently in the wind. Inside, something. We don't know how bad. The fact that it happened, though, the fact that somebody pulled out a gun and opened fire, bad enough. And we are left to wonder why. We are left to wonder who. And we certainly hope that when we get official word that no one else has been injured. We hope. I'm going to ask the producer if we have any additional information we're able to share beyond as we look at the bomb squad there and a robot that has been wheeled out. That's what that tracked vehicle is, right next to the white pickup truck right there, right in the middle of your screen. That would lend some credence as it is being backed up. It would lend some credence to the possibility that perhaps they need to examine maybe some belongings that were in the possession of whomever was shot. Or, okay. All right, I'm getting word in my ear that the HSCO store, the parking lot there at Wesleyan and Richmond, is being set up as a staging area to reconnect with people who may need to reconnect with family or loved ones or friends. This presumably, you know, if you knew a friend or a family member was inside Lakewood, you were not there, you want to connect with them, that's where you will go. The HSCO at Richmond and Wesleyan in the parking lot has been designated a staging area. As we look back and return to this conversation about the bomb squad and the robot there on the left side of your screen at the bottom of that white ramp at the back of that black trailer right there, just outside your screen there. But we have seen these sorts of things in the past where there is perhaps a package left behind. Maybe there's a bag, maybe there's a box, a backpack that was left somewhere. You know, when you go to the airport, they say if you see a suspicious bag, alert somebody. It's the same sort of thing. And they need to take a look in there. They don't want to just walk up and start rifling through it because who knows what's inside. So this is a time-consuming process to deploy this robot there on the left side of your screen and get it inside the building so it can approach whatever it needs to approach and let the robot take a look and see what's in there. Now, we're also looking at this courtyard area just outside the doors here, and we don't know why, but it's curious that there is nobody standing in front of the windows, that they are right there along the edge of that wall. To the right of your screen, there are a bank of doors and windows leading into Lakewood Church. Now this guy, walking some 20 or so, maybe 30 feet away, not feeling dangerous, doesn't have that sort of demeanor about him, so that's encouraging. And then there's that guy. This is just something I'm looking at because all we're left to do is look and give our analysis of what we're seeing and try to bring attention to some details that perhaps may not immediately up. This started just after 2 o'clock this afternoon. Son of an active shooter inside Lakewood Church. The church has tweeted this, has X'd this. I'm going to use tweeted. You know what I'm talking about. Harris County Sheriff Ed Gonzalez has tweeted that a suspected shooter was shot and put down by a responding deputy. We don't know who, we don't know why, we don't know if anybody was. People inside Lakewood Church on this Sunday, in the midst of various programs and services that are put on by the church through the course of a day, certainly on this day of worship. And we have been able to talk to at least one person who want to share what they had to say. Let's listen in.
At first it was like 2, and then within 5 minutes it was more than 2. It came out like one after another, and everybody started running.
And did you see anyone get shot?
I didn't see nothing because everybody started running, and we just feared for our lives.
Yeah. Are you doing okay? Like, how are you feeling?
I'm okay. I almost got in a panic attack, but I had to calm down for my daughter.
Almost had a panic attack, she said. No small wonder that that would be the case. While we mention, as we look at the police presence in and around Lakewood Church on the Southwest Freeway primarily, but really all around the perimeter of the church, law enforcement is there, making sure that the perimeter is secure. While there may be some people who worry about this sort of thing happening, I think so many people, nobody goes to church thinking this is the day someone opens fire inside the church. So when it happens, if it happens, no small shock that you are shocked and that you panic and that you bring it together, certainly for your loved ones, for your children in that woman's set of circumstances, because you don't want the children being any more scared than they have to be. If we could go back to Skyfox, which is hovering above Greenway Plaza here. That's looking at the southwest corner of Lakewood Church right there. That's where that sign is. Building stretches off to the right of your screen, and we looking at where that bomb squad robot was. It is now gone, so hard to tell from this far away where it may be, but I'm going to guess, we're going to presume that if it's not there, hidden perhaps by that white truck, that it is in the process of being deployed inside Lakewood Church. Not because we expect that there is a bomb there or a specific threat, but more than likely because there is some sort of package, maybe a backpack that was in the possession of the shooter and laying there. Nobody wants to just go up and rifle through it. They need to check it out, make sure it's not a danger. So they need to see what's through it, and nothing better than the robot that can do that and not put anybody in danger while that happens. Okay, I'm being told that the Lifetime Fitness facility, which is just to the north side of Lakewood Church, immediately next door, it has been designated a reunification location for loved ones, family, friends, someone maybe who got separated from family or loved ones inside church, or maybe you know someone who was inside and you want to reconnect with them. That's one of the places where you can do it. So we've been made aware that the Lifetime Fitness immediately next door to Lakewood Church and the HSCO at Wesleyan and Richmond, which is about a block and a half away from Lakewood Church on Richmond to the west of this location, also a reunification location for that place where people can connect with someone that they're looking for who may have been inside the church. We are awaiting word from the Houston Police Department, which has tweeted that they are sending and deploying a public information officer to the scene to update what they know has happened and what they're still trying to determine has happened, because we know you have questions about what exactly went on there. We do too. And there's been not a lot of opportunity to get those answers, short of the occasional tweets on social media that have been shared by law enforcement and other people as well. Lots of questions. While law enforcement goes through the arduous process of clearing the building that is Lakewood Church. Massive building. If you've not been inside, it used to be a basketball arena. Think about how big those places are. That's what that is. Meeting rooms, classrooms, offices, maintenance facility places. lots of doors, lots of nooks and crannies, lots of corners. Every one of them must be checked out to determine what is going on. We have a tweet from the city of Houston that suggests, please stay away from the area as law enforcement secures the scene and families are taken to a safe area away from Lakewood Church shooting incident. There is a 4:30 p.m. media briefing, so that is 28 minutes away from now. Family reunification moved to Lifetime Fitness at One Healthy Way. Houston Mayor John Whitmire is here to support the families and law enforcement. So, we are led to believe that based on this message, that the Lifetime Fitness is the reunification location rather than the HSCO location. So, we have some clarification there. If you are looking for someone who may have been inside the church, you need to reconnect with someone. Do not go to the HSCO. Do go to the Lifetime Fitness, which is immediately next door to Lakewood Church. You won't be able to drive there because this is the traffic situation all around the church. Southwest Freeway outbound traffic right there. Slow on the main lanes while people try to determine, hey, what is all the blinking lights going on? And then, of course, the law enforcement agency, all the law enforcement presence there on the feeder road. That road is blocked off, so there is nowhere to go there. So if you are trying to get there to reunify with a friend or loved one, please find an alternate route. Meantime, we want to go to Abigail Dye. She has moved. She is, I'm told, along Richmond Avenue, which is on the north side of this Lakewood quadrant. Abigail.
Like you said, Tom, just north of the church here near Richmond and Timmons, and it seems like this courtyard here is where everyone who is inside that church is kind of gathering at this time. I'm sure many of them will be headed to that family reunification center here soon. Just a lot of very shaken people over here, a lot of very scared and confused people. I mean, everyone who's coming out is telling us that they heard shots, they're with their families, they were here for service. What a scary, scary situation to be in. Luckily, it seems like everyone now is, calming down, just kind of gathering their thoughts, talking amongst themselves, and again, just trying to figure out exactly what happened here. And we do have police right here, as you can see, just kind of monitoring everyone, making sure that this situation stays calm and collected here. And they have asked us to keep our distance ourselves just past this pole here. Now, on the other side, if we flip the camera around, like I said, this is Richmond and Timmons. We will be heading further this way for our media briefing here in just about half an hour, where we should be able to learn from officials more details on exactly what happened here. But as you can see, the traffic up on the north side of the church is a little less hectic, a little less thick than where we were earlier near Buffalo Speedway and that service road. But it is still very congested, and there's a lot going on here. We have police officers, deputies, we have law enforcement all over the place doing their jobs. They're keeping this area calm, and like you've been saying, Tom, I'm sure we have several law enforcement personnel inside the church at this time picking up those pieces. I know I heard you in my ear say that there was a robot on scene. We've seen that before in standoff situations and in different, shooting situations where law enforcement try to use tactical gear and technology to keep themselves safe while investigating what's going on around them. But again, this is the courtyard just north of the church along Richmond here, that we see many people who seem to have been in that church when this happened gathering. You can see everyone just kind of looking around, talking amongst themselves, trying to gather themselves and figure out what happened here. Again, we're not sure if there are any victims. We do know that the Harris County Sheriff Ed Gonzalez had tweeted out earlier that a deputy possibly shot a shooter who was inside the church, but we don't know if anyone else was shot in this situation. We did speak to a witness earlier, and we've shown you some of that interview that we had with her, saying that, you know, she was in that church with her family. They were all very afraid when they heard these shots ring out. She said multiple shots, and her family just hit the ground, terrified. I mean, just imagine, you're in your place of worship. You're at Sunday church with your family, one of the safest, warmest places for so many people, and you hear gunshots ring out. She said they just hit the ground and begged for their lives. Like, I'm sure they were praying. You were in a church, and they were just in a moment of fear, a moment of terror and anxiety. And luckily, you know, all of those people made it out safely, and we see, you know, several others who made it out safely. But what a terrifying situation to be in as a churchgoer, as anyone. And Tom, you know, I'll echo what you were saying earlier. It's a situation we've seen all too often here in our country, an active shooter in a place that is supposed to be safe, in a place that we're supposed to be able to go and not worry about violence, not worry about terror. But it shows up in these unsuspecting places, and innocent people, like the ones right here, are affected by it. And like I said, that witness I spoke to just like visibly shaken up. Luckily, her and her family are physically okay, as so many other families are behind me. But again, we don't know. We don't know if there are any other victims in this situation. But we will know within the next 20 to 30 minutes or so when we head down the block here and we get that official briefing from law enforcement on what they've gathered, what they know. If this shooter is down, when we say down, we don't know if that means deceased. We don't know if that means simply disarmed. So we'll get answers to all of those questions within the next 20 minutes or so, Tom. But we'll stay here, continue to talk to different people, get different pieces to this story, and bring it to you live, Tom.
Abigail Dye, she's on the north side of the Lakewood campus along Richmond, where we are expecting an update from law enforcement at the bottom of the hour. Abigail, thank you very much. Certainly as we turn to Skyfox images here around the area above Greenway Plaza where Lakewood Church is, the admonition was to not crowd these people. And certainly we want to be respectful of that. We want to try to be respectful of that. So I want to clarify something that we have been reporting here. Harris County Sheriff Ed Gonzalez had initially suggested that the shooter was down, shot by a deputy. He did correct that messaging a little bit ago. And I'm reading from the sheriff. Correction, shooter is down, but it does not appear that a Harris County Sheriff's Office deputy fired the shots. Other agencies fired. We continue to assist in a methodical, thorough search of the complex. And then saying that the media partner staging area is right where Abigail is at Richmond and Timmins. We are looking at an individual on a stretcher being taken to a Houston Fire Department ambulance. So some sort of injury. We don't know the extent of that injury. Obviously, we're seeing this as just as you are seeing it. We do know that shots were fired for some reason inside the Lakewood Church shortly after or right around 2 o'clock this afternoon. Not a huge stretch of imagination to imagine that somebody may have been injured by that gunfire. Besides the shooter, who was, we're told, shot by some sort of law enforcement agency, not necessarily a deputy, according to Harris County Sheriff Ed Gonzalez, as he just corrected that original belief. And of course, offer a little bit of flexibility here because information is so fluid, so fast in those initial moments in trying to determine what happened. So we are looking from Precinct 1 Constable Alan Rosen, preliminary information, a child shot between the age of 5 and 9, shooter also shot, and then that press conference at 4:30 that we are awaiting now, presumably about just under 20 minutes from now. So, besides that individual we saw on the stretcher, this from Constable Alan Rosen, Precinct 1 Constable, Harris County. A child has been shot. Child somewhere between the age of 5 and 9. The shooter also. So, we can only imagine. We can only guess. And we can cringe at the thought that a child at church was shot by somebody who went in hell-bent on opening fire for whatever reason. Meantime, there is that methodical search that Sheriff Gonzalez says that they are going through as we look at this Houston Fire Department ambulance where someone was just loaded in, someone on a stretcher. That person will be taken to the medical center and treated for whatever injuries they are dealing with right now. But we have been talking about that need for a methodical search of the Lakewood Church. Every nook and cranny, behind every door, every closet, every classroom, every office, under every chair, any place somebody could hide, any place something could be hidden. They got to look. They sent in that Houston Bomb Squad robot into the building. We can imagine, we can presume and guess that there may have been a backpack with the shooter who we're told was shot. You don't just want to walk up and start rifling through that backpack. It needs to be examined safely. Bring in that robot. It goes in. It does the job. Sifts through whatever's in there. Could be nothing. Could be something. You don't want to take any chances. I have been getting some texts from someone who says one of his employees is inside the church and has been told to shelter in place, locked behind a door by law enforcement while they do that search, because they can't take any chances that this was just one person. They have to be sure that it was not more people, 2 or more people. So there are some people who have, it would seem, have been determined it's not safe to get you out of the building based on where you are. So lock yourself in place while we do that search. So while we look at these people in this courtyard that was just behind where Abigail Dye was just talking to us, there along Richmond Avenue, safely away from Lakewood Church. These were people who were inside, waiting to reunify with friends and loved ones there at the Lifetime Fitness Center, which is that building just below them. There you go. The large white square building, that's the Lifetime Fitness Center. Lakewood Church just below it along the Southwest Freeway. While all those people wait, there are, it may be, still people locked inside behind the doors, behind offices, waiting for an all clear while that search continues inside Lakewood Church. Now, looking at this Skyfox imagery here, slow traffic on the Southwest Freeway going right to left, outbound traffic on the Southwest Freeway, main lanes. And then right above that is the feeder road, no traffic going by, being diverted elsewhere. That's law enforcement all parked there. And then every road down to Wesleyan, which is the next major intersection to the left of your screen, kind of southwest of this location, up to Richmond, one major block up, and then back, all cordoned off by law enforcement. That's what we know at this hour. We're about 2 hours into this. Just tuning in, wondering what's going on, we'll tell you what we know. About 2 o'clock this afternoon, reports of an active shooter inside Lakewood Church during services of some sort. Busy place, as you well know, huge church, and services, programs throughout the course of the day. Someone came in, opened fire. We don't know who it was. We don't know why it was. We don't know who they may have shot, except we are told by Precinct 1 Constable Alan Rosen's office that at least a child, somewhere between the age of 5 and 9, was shot at church by somebody who said, I'm going to go to church, I got a beef with somebody, and I'm going to shoot. The shooter was put down, shot by a responding law enforcement officer of some sort. We initially thought it was a deputy from Harris County. The sheriff now says it was another agency that responded and shot. I did mention earlier that there is a clip of video on social media that purports to show some of the streaming programming from Lakewood at the time. There's a single speaker on the screen looking into the camera. He's speaking Spanish. There are people in the background. It's clearly Lakewood Church going back and forth. And while he speaks, you hear off camera 3 quick shots. Boom, boom, boom. A pause, and then another shot. And then you see people scurrying away. And we heard a soundbite from a woman who was inside. She talked about that scurrying, trying to get down. In fact, here she is. Let's listen to what she says.
At first it was like 2, and then within 5 minutes it was more than 2. It came out like one after another, and everybody started running.
And did you see anyone get shot?
I didn't see nothing because everybody started running, and we just feared for our lives.
Yeah. Are you doing okay? Like, how are you feeling?
I'm okay. I almost got in a panic attack, but I had to calm down for my daughter.
Almost a panic attack. Certainly understandable. And then calming for your child. Also understandable as we look at the heavy law enforcement presence all around Lakewood Church this afternoon. While the area around, the perimeter around Lakewood is sealed off. Nobody gets in, except for investigators. And nobody gets out, hopefully, if they're troublemakers along these lines. There is a reunification facility, a center there at the Lifetime Fitness Center directly next door to Lakewood Church, just to the north of the property. That is where friends and loved ones can reunify with people who are trying to connect with them. Certainly understandable and potentially likely that perhaps a friend or a loved one was at the church, you were not with them, now you want to be with them. That's where it happens, there at the Lifetime Fitness Center, just to the north and right next door to Lakewood Church. We want to go back to this tweet from Precinct 1 Constable Alan Rosen. Preliminary information is that a child was shot between the ages of 5 and 9. The shooter also shot. A press conference at 4:30 this afternoon, roughly 10 minutes from now. We do have our reporter Abigail Dye at that. They are set up. They are ready to go. When that press conference happens, we will bring it to you. You'll see it here. You'll hear it here. We know you got a lot of questions about what happened, why it happened, who did it. When we get that information, when that press conference begins, we will share it with you. We want that information just as much as you do. This is not supposed to happen, yet it happens. It happens too often. Getting inside the head of somebody who says this is how they handle whatever demons are in their head, whatever grudge they may have, whatever beef they may have, whatever slight they may have felt. Too many people think this is how they handle things, and this is what happens. So there is a massive search, methodical search, inside Lakewood Church right now, going on. They got to clear that building. And I was sharing some messaging I was having with someone who has an employee who is inside the church, locked behind a door, sheltered in place, he was told, by law enforcement while they can get that search done, because they are someplace where they could not safely, legitimately get them out while they do the process of searching every nook and cranny of the building, the facility. It's a massive place with lots of places, lots of corners where someone could hide. So it's prudent, it's good police work, it's necessary police work to go through the process of checking every single possibility before they say, it's all clear, go on. Let's figure out what this was. There's police work going on right now inside Lakewood Church during this time. We have seen a bomb squad robot that was deployed. We can presume that that robot is going into the building to probably maybe, go through a package, a box, a backpack that is believed, well, it's suspicious at the very least, unknown, maybe right next to the shooter. Who knows? Those are the answers we're waiting for. But nobody wants to, it's not smart to just go rifling through that thing, so they bring the robot in. The robot can safely peek inside, see if there's any danger to that before. That's part of the whole process of giving the all clear here, which we are apparently nowhere near. I mentioned earlier, if you are new to town and wondering, well, you know what Lakewood Church is, that building used to be a basketball arena for the Houston Rockets, known as the Summit. So think about going inside a NBA basketball arena and think about how many places there are to hide and to tuck something away that doesn't belong there. That's the job in front of law enforcement right now, as they go about the process of doing just that. I'm sifting through our files now to see if there's anything new that I can share with you while we await this press briefing from law enforcement. They tell us that they are going to share what they know at the bottom of the hour. So just a little over 5 minutes from now, we should be able to hear from there. We do have a number of reporter teams kind of getting to the area. Our reporter Abigail Dye has been reporting from there. She is at that press conference location. She is ready to go. And again, as I noted, when they come up to the lectern to start answering questions and share what they know and answering questions as well, we'll share that with you. You'll see it live here. Pardon my pause there, as I am looking at a comment, statement from Governor Abbott. I'm reading this here. Governor Abbott says, "Our hearts are with those impacted by today's tragic shooting and the entire Lakewood Church community in Houston. Places of worship are sacred. I have been in contact with Mayor Whitmire and offered the full support and resources of the state of Texas, including Department of Public Safety officers and Texas Rangers, to help this community and help bring swift justice to the criminal who committed this heinous act. Join Cecilia and me in praying for this community during this difficult time and for the brave men and women in blue who acted quickly to respond to this tragedy." Statement from Governor Abbott this afternoon, posted just over 5 minutes ago, as this remains a fluid situation. And I will add, in addition to the men and women in blue, the men and women who also are the first responders in the Houston Fire Department as well, on the trucks, in the ambulances. They also are saving lives. We saw an ambulance take someone who was on a stretcher, being loaded into that ambulance. Hard to see through this imagery, but we're going to guess that that ambulance has conveyed whoever that victim was, whatever their injury may have been. We don't know that they were shot. They could have had any number of emergencies, but being cared for and treated and probably taken to the medical center. We also note that Constable Rosen from Precinct 1 noted that a child was shot. We do not know how injured that child was. a child between the ages of 5 and 9, according to Constable Rosen. Okay, bear with me for just a moment while I'm getting words and directions in my ear. I want to complete this thought about the child victim here. Constable Rosen says the child was shot. We do not know the extent of that injury. Any shooting injury is terrible to anybody, and especially unthinkable for a child. But we hope and we hope. We can't presume, we hope that the child is injured only and is in great hands. I'm told we can get to Abigail Dye, but I'm looking at her camera right now and she's not quite ready. Will be momentarily. Yeah, as they are setting up and getting ready for that news briefing that we are expecting in just a few minutes. Before that happens, Abigail has been kind of milling about there. Abigail, what additional can you bring to the conversation here?
Well, we just walked down Richmond, from Timmins and Richmond, down further toward the church. And I'm just going to show you a little bit of what's going on here. We have fire personnel here. We have EMS. We have police. We have deputies. We have a very large, sprawling scene all over here. And we're actually, it looks like this press conference is going to happen. So we're going to go ahead and get set up on this real quick.
But I think we can fit you in right there. Oh. Well, okay. Maybe not. Oh. There. Okay. All right, that should be okay. Then I will re-clip to this, which it has not wanted to stay on. Okay. Okay. Great. Okay, as long as nobody touches it, I think we're good. You're welcome. Phone's on silent.
All right, we are watching this lectern where the police briefing is expected to begin at any moment. This is a typical process. If you've never been to one of these things where all the microphones get attached to the stand there, and they're going to check levels to make sure that everybody's microphones are working correctly. And this is where that briefing will happen. Again, we're expecting it really, they said 4:30, so it appears they are very close, fingers crossed, to being on time with this. We know you have all sorts of questions. And I don't know that all of those answers are going to come in this initial briefing, but while we have spent the last couple of hours talking about what we think has happened, law enforcement will be able to tell us from an official point of view what they know so far and what they don't know yet, what they're still working on, trying to clear this scene.
Vic, do you need me to do a mic check? You got it switched over to headset? Okay.
Still waiting for this press briefing to begin. It will be momentarily. That is Lakewood Church there in the background. We were looking at this view from Skyfox.
They're in the briefing right now, so as soon as they're done, they should go. But I don't have like 5 minutes or 10 minutes.
That is the western edge of the church, to give you some sense of the view from the ground versus what we were seeing from Skyfox earlier. Okay. While we are waiting for this to begin, Ruben Dominguez has arrived on scene, and he is, I believe, on Richmond. Ruben, what do you know?
Check. Last chance. 1 2 1 2.
Yeah, we're at Richmond at Timmins, and we're just probably not even 100 yards from Lifetime Fitness here, just on the other side of Lakewood Church. And as all the Fox 26 viewers that have been watching our coverage by now know, that there was a shooting at Lakewood Church just before the 2 o'clock service. I talked to a young man who was physically in the church. He had just gone to his seats with his wife. They were pretty close to the front of the stage when he heard the shots being fired. Hey, we're going to go back to Tom, I'm being told right now.
Mayor of Houston, Texas, today. Unfortunately,
Houston Mayor John Whitmire, let's listen.
To report on a tragedy that occurred just before 2 o'clock at Lakewood Church as they were in between services. I'll leave the details of the first responders' reaction in a timely fashion to the Chiefs Finner and Chief Pena. I want Houstonians and surrounding communities to know that the first responders are doing their job in protecting the public, Houstonians, and surrounding communities. I also want everyone to know that this is a perfect example of the collaboration between departments. It's exactly what we've been calling for. HPD, constables. I could just go through a list of multiple agencies representing their agencies in a very responsive way. We want to give our condolences to Reverend Osteen and his congregation. It's unfortunate on a day that we want to attend church, watch America's #1 sports event. We find ourselves gathered here to respond to this tragedy. We want Houstonians to know that they are being protected by their first responders. We want to thank the Houston Fire Department for their quick response, the medical profession who is tending to one of the injured. So, as mayor of the city of Houston, I want to assure everyone that everyone is at work doing their job. Let's come together on this beautiful day, a day that we're experiencing a tragedy. Let's hug our loved ones. When you leave here today, go hug your loved ones and say a prayer for those that are involved. Say a prayer for those officers that had to drop this suspect. They're suffering right now. And all these other first responders that I'm surrounded by, they're doing their job so we can be safe. At this time, let me yield to our police chief, Troy Finner.
Thank you, Mayor. Like the mayor said, and I think the most important message, before I get into details, is talk about the resiliency of our great city. And we worship together, we cry together, but we rebuild together. This is a tragic day to watch how we stand together. No suspect or suspects will tear down our city and our places of worship. Pastor Osteen is standing with us and all of our partners. And I want to thank them all, our local, our state, our federal partners. I just want to give some detail here, but pray for everybody that's involved. The victims who I'll discuss here, and the unsaid victims, those individuals that came here to worship today and had to witness this. But rest assured, in this city, we're going to stand strong and we're going to move forward. So approximately at 1:53 p.m., a female, approximately 35 years old, entered the property on the west side here in the parking lot of Lakewood Church. She entered the building. She was armed with a long rifle and a trench coat with a backpack, accompanied by a small child, approximately 4 to 5 years old. Once she entered, at some point she began to fire. I want to compliment the off-duty officers who were working extra employment here. One TABC agent, 4 years of service, 38 years old. An HPD off-duty officer, 28 years old, 2 years of service. Both officers, the officer and agent, engaged striking the female. She's deceased here on the scene. Unfortunately, a 5-year-old kid was hit and is in critical condition at our local hospital. There was a 57-year-old man who didn't have anything to do with it, I don't think, was shot in the leg. He's seeking treatment in the hospital. So let's all pray for each and every one of them. Once she went down, officers reported back to us that she threatened, that she had a bomb. So we searched her vehicle, our bomb squad, and also the backpack. No explosives were found, but she was also spraying some type of substance on the ground. So HFD came and the fire chief would speak briefly on that. But again, we're going to stand strong. Again, I want to commend those officers. She had a long gun, and it could have been a lot worse. But they stepped up and they did their job. And I want to thank them for that. As you know, when an officer's involved in a shooting, we conducted a criminal investigation, Harris County District Attorney's Office, and also both agencies conduct administrative investigations. That will take place. Both of these officers will, and the officer and the agent will be placed on administrative duty. But again, let's pray for everybody. And we stand strong here in Houston. I'll pass it on right now. Let me say this too. Places of worship. That's what they are. And that's what they will remain in our city. So it's just an opportunity for us to refocus and make sure that we all look out for one another. There will be increased patrols and a lot of conversation in our command posts with our federal partners and our local partners. We're going to increase those patrols in and around those religious institutions, and it doesn't matter which faith. We love everybody here in our city, and everybody's important. So let me pass it on to Fire Chief Pena.
Thank you, Troy. Thank you, Chief, and thank you, Mayor. First of all, let me thank all the agencies that are here with us. This is really a team effort, and our prayers are with, and our positive thoughts are with the injured, and with the officers that engaged this suspect. It's traumatic not only for our community, but it's certainly traumatic for the officers who've had to take a life, and we worry about their mental health as well. So our prayers are with them, and we're going to give them whatever support they need to ensure that they are able to manage through this incident safely. Kudos to the first responders. The Houston Fire Department, Police Department was here within minutes. We are now dealing with consequence management of this incident. Now that the threat has been neutralized, we are going to take our time to ensure that any issue, any risk that we see is properly vetted. We have our hazmat team on scene. You see behind us, you have decon units that are participating in collaboration with the Houston Police Department's bomb squad to ensure that we are looking at every aspect that may be of risk. Right now, I can safely say that we have not found anything that is of concern to our community or to this location. But we're going to take our time to ensure that we look at every aspect. Our hazmat team, our decon team, and our rescue team will remain on scene until needed, and we're going to collaborate in this effort. We did transport two patients. One, approximately a 5-year-old child in critical condition. They went to Texas Children's, and we transported a second male, about 56 years of age, with an injury to the hip. He, last I heard, he was in stable condition. Both are still in the hospital. The child is still in critical condition, and we don't have any further information as far as his status. But again, let's pray for this community as a whole. This is traumatic for everyone, every Houstonian, and these types of incidents are, unfortunately, something that we deal more often than we need to with. So, look, we're going to remain on scene. I'm going to pass this on now to.
Before I get it to. Before I bring it up. Yeah. Really quickly. This is an isolated incident. We believe at this moment. Okay. No further danger to our public, but we do want to conduct a methodical search of the building to make sure that nobody's in there, nobody else is in there hurt. So that will continue. We ask that the public stay away from the area and let us do our job on that. The reunification location for our parents or our family members is the Lifetime Fitness Center here. And if you come up, we'll direct you. Try to stay on the east side of the building, not on the west side of the building, and we'll get you and reunited with your family members. Okay, Pastor.
Well, first off, thank Chief and the Mayor and Chief Pinion, all of these men and women did an amazing job, and it's just, you said it, Chief, it could have been a lot worse. Of course, we're devastated. I mean, we've been here 65 years and have somebody shooting in your church, but, you know, we don't understand why these things happen, but we know God's in control, and we're going to pray for that little 5-year-old boy and pray for the lady that was deceased, her family and all, and the other gentleman, but I don't know, it's just kind of in a fog, but, you know, just believe that, you know, we're going to stay strong. We're going to continue to move forward. And there are forces of evil, but the forces that are for us, the forces of God are stronger than that. So we're going to keep going strong and just, you know, doing what God's called us to do, lift people up and give hope to the world. Again, I want to thank all these gentlemen because, you know, I can only imagine if it would have happened during the 11 o'clock service. We were in between services going into the Spanish service, so, you know, if there's anything good of it, you know what, she didn't get in there and do a whole lot worse damage. So we thank God for that. He's watching over all of us, and as the Chief says, we're going to keep going strong and bringing hope to the world. But thank you again, gentlemen.
Thank you, Pastor. I'm going to get Chief Gun 2 for translation in Spanish. Thank you.
Buenas tardes. Recibimos la llamada a las 1:53. Los oficiales respondieron.
We've been listening to a police briefing from Houston Mayor John Whitmire, Fire Chief Sam Pena, Troy Finner, the police chief, Joel Osteen right there as well. Here's what we know, according to law enforcement. Just before 2 o'clock this afternoon, a woman walked in on the west entrance to Lakewood Church, armed with a rifle. She had a 5-year-old boy with her, and almost immediately started opening fire, saying she had a bomb, they said, according to her. There were some off-duty officers, a TABC agent and an HPD officer working off-duty security there at Lakewood Church. They responded immediately. They engaged the woman. She was shot. She was killed right where she stood. The child, unfortunately, that 5-year-old boy, was caught in the crossfire, critically injured, transported immediately to Texas Children's Hospital in the medical center. There was also a 57-year-old man who was apparently shot in the leg or hip. He was taken to the medical center as well. Ben Taub, I believe they said. It was the lone woman, they believe, though as we have been talking over the last couple of hours, law enforcement's going about the process of a methodical search to make sure that there are no other threats inside Lakewood Church. As Chief Troy Finner said, places of worship in Houston will remain so in our community, and noting that there will be increased patrols at houses of worship in the coming days. We don't know who this woman was. We don't know why. We don't know if there's no indication she was a member of the congregation there at Lakewood. So we don't know. Lots still to determine as they give statements there to our Spanish speaking broadcasting partners around the city as well. Going through here, Mayor Whitmire also noted that this is an example of the first responders doing their job in the city of Houston, and that it's a perfect example of collaboration in the response. But certainly, as we have noted as well, unfortunate that we are finding ourselves responding to this kind of tragedy at all, but certainly on this day when so many good things should be happening as well. We'll listen here to the mayor.
Emphasize that we appreciate our first responders. I want to emphasize what the chief said, that our places of worship will be safe in the city of Houston, regardless of your faith. and I think it's important to emphasize at this time it appears to be a lone actor, but due diligence is being taken by all the first responders from all the multiple agencies. So at this time I'll yield to questions to the chiefs.
Chief, do you have a motive? Do you know if this woman...
No, it's preliminary investigation, and I don't want to speculate on anything. You can see our federal partners are here, our local partners, our state partners, everybody, and we're going to leave no stone unturned, but we're just at the beginning. It's still an active scene, so I don't want to talk about her motivations because I don't know and we may never know the full story. But the important message is we're going to stand together as a city. We're going to stand with this church today and the pastor to make sure that healing begins immediately. But I don't want to speculate on anything else. Next question. Go ahead in the middle here.
Quick question. Is it the belief that those officers that opened fire, did they strike the child?
I have no idea right now. She fired. We don't know. And I don't want to speculate on that. But I will say this. If it was, unfortunately, and that female, that suspect, put that baby in danger, I'm going to put that blame on her. Okay? Next question. Go ahead. A little bit louder.
The child was with the suspect?
We do believe that.
Is that the child that was shot?
We believe that to be correct.
And the shooting, this used to be the Compact Center, sports arena, was my understanding, was like in the concession area in the rounds. It wasn't in the sanctuary, but in the... I'm
not sure. It's just over here on the west side here, just behind us, okay? We'll get those details to you a little bit later. Go ahead, sir.
Can you say how many shots did the suspect fire?
I have no idea. Multiple shots. Go ahead.
Was there any explosive device or anything nefarious found in the
Nothing found. We're still searching the entire grounds, okay? And if it is, we'll report back to you on that. Next question. Go ahead.
Did you find an ID on the woman? Was she from Houston?
I'm not sure, sir. If we found an idea right now, if we did, we'll share that with you. But you know what we're up against today on this day. And I think it's very important for us to get before the cameras as quickly as we can, not competing with the Super Bowl and everything else. Let our citizens know that everything is good here, we're standing together, and we're moving forward.
Can I ask Pastor Osteen,
go ahead.
Were you in
he's not. I'm sorry. Let me ask y'all one thing. I forgot to, hold up, hear me out. I forgot to say the pastor is not going to go with any more questions or anything today. It'll be a time a little bit later. So I'm sorry. Didn't mean to cut you off. I forgot to say that. Go ahead. Within minutes, sir. Within minutes, a lot of officers responded.
She was actually aiming at anybody specific?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure I want to speak to it.
Any witnesses? There's so many. Thousands of people.
Yeah, that's part of the investigation, and we're going to talk to those witnesses. Some are still here, thank God, and they stayed back. So that's part of the investigation. One more with you, and then I'm going to get over here. All right?
The child that was with this female, is it believed that they are related like a daughter?
I don't want to speculate. I don't know. The only thing that we know that they arrived here together. Okay? Next question.
Do we know if the suspect arrived in a vehicle?
Yes, a white vehicle. Thanks for I failed to say that. A white vehicle. Yeah.
Can you any more descriptors on that vehicle?
Not right now. It's just a white vehicle, and we did search that vehicle to make sure there were no explosive or anything found in it. Go ahead.
Is there an ID for what was sprayed on the ground?
We don't know yet. The fire department, as the Chief Pena said, they're still evaluating that. All right, a few more questions. Go ahead.
If the child was the boy was the woman's child, what's the relation between the two?
I don't know. All right. Let me get somebody that asks me a question. Go ahead, and then I'll come back to you. Go ahead. Speak up a little bit. Until we get through, and the pastor and his staff will make that decision, but it's going to be closed for now. I think that was the last service for today anyway, okay? Who's next? Who hadn't asked me a question?
I was just wondering, that other gentleman who was hurt,
Go ahead.
Was he just a parishioner, happened to walk by?
I think so. That's what we believe at this time. It's shot in the leg, okay? In stable condition. Go ahead.
An officer I spoke with earlier today said they're still searching for another male suspect. Is that not the case?
I don't think so. We believe her to be the lone suspect. If you can believe, with thousands of people in the church, when shots are fired, people run from that area. Some people may say he was a suspect, some not. But we don't believe that at this time, okay? But anybody that ran away or seen anything, we're going to ask that they call HPD homicide 713-308-3600. Even if you left the scene, we need to get a full statement of what you witnessed, okay?
Chief, were those officers wearing body cams at the time?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Chief, you said that after she was shot, the suspect said that she had a bomb, and did she say that spontaneously, or was she being questioned by officers?
I'm not sure. I didn't talk to her. That's just what's told to me, or we'll gather more information. I'm going to do 2 more questions, okay? Somebody who hadn't asked me thing. We good? Go ahead.
There's a female that's a suspect right now, and she's under investigation, or is she no longer with us?
She's deceased. Yes, ma'am. Thanks for asking. Go ahead. Last one.
Still here on scene. Is that vehicle still here on scene?
Yes, it's still being processed, okay? It's part of the scene. And it takes hours before we clear the scene.
And I assume you'll have video, security camera video you guys will review.
We'll see. We'll see. We're very transparent here in the police department, HPD. So if we have footage at the right time, appropriate time, and if there's body-worn camera, the officers will work an extra job. I don't know the policy for the federal agency, but we'll check with our officers to see if he had it. Okay? Hey, thank y'all. Let's continue to pray for everybody. Thank you very much.
Houston Police Chief Troy Finner wrapping up a police briefing outside Lakewood Church. Pastor Joel Osteen there right in the middle of your screen there as we try to make sense of what they say was a lone shooter inside Lakewood Church this afternoon. Constable Rosen there in the middle of your screen. Harris County Sheriff Ed Gonzalez there. Houston Mayor John Whitmire as well. All of them, almost all of them, taking a turn at the microphone to explain what they know, what they don't know. HPD, the lead agency here. We also see the FBI on presence. They have noted that they are not the lead agency here. They are here to assist as might be appropriate. But here's what we know. According to authorities here in Houston, just before 2 o'clock this afternoon, in between a couple of services at Lakewood Church, this one woman, described as being between 30 and 35 years old, entered from the west side with a rifle and a backpack and a 5-year-old child with her. She said something to the effect of she had a bomb and she started shooting. There were a couple of off-duty officers, one from TABC, one from HPD, working extra duty as security there. They engaged the woman immediately. They opened fire. She was shot. She was killed. That 5-year-old child, we believe it was a boy, was critically injured in the crossfire, taken to Texas Children's Hospital, being cared for now. A 57-year-old man was apparently shot in the leg, taken to Ben Taub Hospital in the medical center. The woman also apparently was spreading some sort of substance around. Preliminary tests show nothing toxic about that substance, so encouraging news there while they continue to do a methodical search of the facility. Skyfox continues to hover over the scene. Among those vehicles there that you see, we believe it's there, but perhaps elsewhere, there is also the vehicle in which this woman drove. It's still there. It's being inspected. It's being investigated. Police Chief Troy Finner says that's a methodical process that will take a considerable amount of time while they gather every single bit of evidence they can about who this woman was, why she did what she did, and what she may have done. I want to go to Fox 26's Ruben Dominguez. He is live not far from this scene as well, looking at one of our monitors off to the scene. Ruben is ready to go. Ruben, what do you know?
Yeah. Hey, Tom. Good afternoon to you. We're just outside of Lakewood Church. And as you mentioned, that press conference wrapping up, the mayor speaking about the multi-agency response and how quickly they got down here and their ability to work together. And arriving on the scene myself, I passed dozens and dozens of state troopers, Department of Public Safety, Harris County Sheriff's Department, EMS, and the scene given what went down, relatively calm outside of the church and the surrounding blocks. Right now, it's all a matter of continuing, making sure that nothing was left in the building. We've seen EMS crews going in and out of Lakewood Church, fire and EMS taking care of that. But once we got onto the scene, we did have a chance to speak to a couple of people. Now, that 2 o'clock mass is a mass that is is a Spanish language mass. So a lot of the people that were there and that we were trying to get some sound with were primarily Spanish speakers. Only a few spoke English. But I did speak to one young man who described the scene. That he was inside the church the moments that the shots were fired. So I'm going to try to translate as we play this soundbite for you all. Take a listen.
Apenas estamos llegando y pues la señora nos llevó en la primera fila y estamos ahí esperando que salían todo. Y
He
pues
says they had just arrived and were sitting very near the front.
Después empezó 2, 3, pues ahí la gente se entró en pánico y pues ya todos se agacharon abajo de la silla.
Everything was normal until shots were fired.
Sí, es una, como dijera yo, se asustaron todos.
O sea, no había empezado la misa.
Todavía no. Todavía no. Apenas la gente se estaba llegando.
He says it was just before the church. Folks were still filing into Lakewood Church.
Pues ya rápido unos se acostaron donde están las sillas y todo, pues y otros se subieron más para arriba.
He said the public reacted. Some were laying down on the floor trying to take cover behind their chairs. Dieron la notificación que tenían que salir de la iglesia.
Pues ya cuando la gente estaba
And I asked him when did they notify everyone to leave.
Que trabajan ahí, pues nos dijeron que todos salían para afuera. La policía nos dijeron que salimos en las salidas hasta los parqueos.
Pero usted y su familia, todo el mundo. He said that Lakewood Church employees and the police were instructing the people to leave the building. Yeah, so there you go, guys. A description of a pretty chaotic scene. He did go on to tell me that they were very frightened. He heard the first shot. He wasn't quite sure what that was, but several shots fired immediately after he knew that something was very wrong and made his way, out of the building, luckily with his wife, and were able to get outside. I did speak to another woman that had been to the 11 a.m. Mass, and she heard about the shooting. She actually came back to the church because she said, to pray for the people who were inside and the people that were affected by this. So as of right now, I think they hit all of the major points there during the news conference. I believe law enforcement is going to start moving us back here in just a second. They're starting to wave some of the media back. So we're going to kick it back to you, Tom, and hopefully we can get some more sound out here and bring that to you and share it with the viewers shortly. Right now we're live outside of Lakewood Church. Ruben Dominguez, Fox 26 News.
Ruben, thank you, and by all means keep efforting that contact when you can get it. Share it with us. We certainly appreciate that. Skyfox continues to hover over the scene of Lakewood Church. That is the Southwest Freeway feeder road, just along the bottom of your screen, the front of the church at the top of your screen. At this point, law enforcement, HPD, primarily the lead agency here, says there's every indication that they have this scene under control while they continue to do a search. That young man that Ruben was speaking to was describing hearing the shots. I have also, in the last couple of hours, mentioned a clip that is on social media that purports to show, as authorities said, they were just about to start a Spanish-speaking service there at Lakewood. There was a man on screen in the lobby, it looked like, there at Lakewood, speaking Spanish. Getting ready, presumably for that service. There were people in the background milling back and forth, and you hear off screen in this video clip at least 4 shots, 3 quick ones, a pause, and then a 4th shot, while people in the background continue to scurry as well. At the top of the hour here, Tom Zisk in the Fox 26 studios. Normally we would be doing the 5 o'clock news for Fox 26. We are continuing our breaking news coverage of an active shooter now dead, we're told, at Lakewood Church this afternoon. Lots is going on. If you've been with us for a bit, I want to guess that this vehicle right here, with the doors open, the hatchback open, is the vehicle we were told that this woman, the lone shooter, drove up in to Lakewood Church. drove up, parked it, got out, walked inside with a 5-year-old child in tow, and immediately, we're told, opened fire, saying she also had a bomb in her backpack. Responding officers, a TABC agent and an HPD officer working extra duty as security, immediately engaged that woman, we are told. She was shot and killed right there. The 5-year-old child, critically injured in the crossfire, now being cared for at Texas Children's Hospital in the medical center. Chief Troy Finner saying whatever happened to that little child is the sole fault of the woman who brought the child in. We don't know that the woman was the child's mother. We can guess maybe, but we don't know. Lots yet to know. We have a number of reporters around the scene. I want to, as we look at this Sky Fox video, check in with Jade Fleury, who is in the vicinity as well, checking in as best she can with people who've been affected by this. Jade, fill in the blanks as best you can. What do you know?
Yeah, Tom, we're here at Lifetime Fitness, which is one of the family reunification spots. I'm going to step out of the way here so you guys can see. There are 2 Harris County buses that look like they're transporting people away from the area. They look like they're about to get ready and roll out. Police still do have this area closed off. And we did speak to one woman who says that she heard those gunshots.
Lo único que me afecta a mí es la muerte de un niño. Es la muerte de un niño tan pequeñito que no tenía por qué pagar las consecuencias de gente adulta que no tiene nada que ver. Pero nosotros estábamos en el salón y empezamos a escuchar los disparos y eran más fuertes. Pero de ahí ya nos llevaron a otro lado y ya nos quedamos ahí hasta que vino la policía. Pero hay que orar mucho por esa gente que no tiene sensibilidad para matar a un niño.
Can you tell us what she said?
She said that she was just, I think, laying in the sanctuary, and all of a sudden she hears a lot of shots that were from a distance, and they started to become more and more loud. And then they took her to a place where she could hide for a while. She's been there for like an hour. And she was just talking about that she feels really bad that somebody killed a child, that no child should ever die because of consequences like this, and that it's just really unfair.
Again, the roadways here do remain blocked off, and there's still a heavy police presence. We'll bring you guys more information as it comes in.
Jade Fleury, thank you. We appreciate it. As you get additional information, please share it with us, and we will pass it along. Sky Fox over the Southwest Freeway. Those are the outbound lanes with all the traffic. The feeder road right in front of Lakewood is closed off to civilian traffic while first responders maintained their presence. So much has been made here about the fact that this was at a church on a Sunday, a day of worship. We have seen this so many times in places across the country and here in Texas, where worshipers found themselves face to face with someone with a gun who had some sort of grudge and decided that whatever their problem was, the only way to handle it was through this kind of violence. Among the many, many questions that we'll struggle with, because we've tried to ask and we don't get answers real easily. So we will struggle with this one as well. What goes on in people's head that they think that this is okay. It's not. A woman is dead, struggling with some sort of demons. We don't know. A 5-year-old child with her, critically injured. We don't know. We don't know what will happen to that child being cared for at the Texas Medical Center, where great doctors are working feverishly, hopefully, to save that child's life. And a 57-year-old man shot in the leg, shot in the hip, being treated at Ben Taub Hospital tonight. That's what we know. Happened just before 2 o'clock, in between services at Lakewood Church. Let's go to Abigail Dye. She was right next to that press conference as it happened. Abigail, any observations that you can share with us, please?
Chaotic still. There are so many units and police personnel and just so many people out here trying to piece everything together. I mean, luckily, it seems like the threat is gone. You know, police are telling us that the threat has been eliminated, but it doesn't mean that the work is over here. They still have so many things to piece together, so many questions to answer. We'll show you a little bit. This is right here where we had that press conference earlier. We have several law enforcement officers gathered up, and as we kind of pan left over the scene, you can see that we have fire personnel here. You know, we did have to transport those two victims, the 57-year-old male and that 5-year-old boy, to the hospital. 5 years old or in that age range. It's absolutely heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking to think that something like that could happen at a church. And we are here on the west end of the church where police say that the suspect entered the church. So if you look at the church from the west end here, you can see the big letters spelling out Lakewood Church. And we do believe that the suspect vehicle is over here just out of view behind some crime scene tape. And this is still a very active crime scene. Now, some other just interesting things about this suspect in this case. Police say that she did enter the church with a trench coat on. Just a very scary picture in your head there. Entering the church with a trench coat on, a long rifle in hand, backpack on, and that young child in tow. And police say that at one point, we don't know if it's before or after she was shot, when she communicated this, but at one point she said that she had a bomb in that backpack. Now, police say at this point they haven't found any explosives, but they are carefully searching that vehicle, that backpack, the church, just trying to figure out where that threat came from. Now, again, that woman is now dead. Officers shot her, and that child was shot as well. And at this point, it's not clear what gunfire that child was hit by, because it is believed that the child who was hit was the child that she brought into the church with her. And so, like I said, it's unclear what gunfire this child was hit by, but police say no matter what gunfire that child was hit by, it is this woman's fault. I mean, it's hard to find a word other than evil to describe bringing a child with you to commit a shooting in a church on Sunday during a service. I mean, I have chills just thinking and talking about it. And like I said, I mean, out here, the job is far from over. We are still just piecing everything together. The motive is something that we will not know for a long time, if ever, because the suspect is deceased. And we have these law enforcement officers out here just keeping this scene calm, keeping it secure, and keeping it safe. Police assured us that their response was very quick. Within minutes, they were here at this church, and that suspect was down and the threat was mitigated. And again, we are still trying to figure out if there is an explosive anywhere. At this point, police say there's not. They've searched that vehicle. They are still searching the church. They searched that backpack, and no explosives have been found. We're not exactly sure why that suspect would threaten that, but like we've been echoing here, Tom, we're not exactly sure why any of this would happen in the first place. But again, very active scene here on the west side of Lakewood Church, where police say that suspect entered and is now deceased, with that 5-year-old boy and 57-year-old man in the hospital. We'll be sure to stay on top of this story and get updates on their conditions as soon as we have them. And Tom, we'll stay right here on scene and continue to gather information for you. I'll send it back to you for now.
Abigail Dye outside Lakewood Church. Abigail, thank you. Check in when you can. This is the car that Abigail was talking about. We saw it earlier here. Skyfox directly over it. The vehicle that the woman, the shooter, drove in on. This is right at the curb. So she drove up, parked the vehicle, and walked in wearing that trench coat, the long gun, the rifle hidden underneath, wearing a backpack, 5-year-old boy in tow. Walked in, screamed she had a bomb, and opened fire. A TABC agent and an HPD officer, both working extra duty security at Lakewood Church, immediately, we're told, engaged the woman after she started shooting, and she was shot and killed. This vehicle is being processed for any bit of evidence that authorities can find, and Chief Troy Finner says it will take a considerable amount of time for that exhaustive investigation into that. As we look at this last little bit of video from Skyfox, we're going to take a brief commercial break. We're going to regroup on what we know and what we don't know, what we can share and what we can't share. We'll be back right after this. Opened fire at the Lakewood Church this afternoon, just before 2 o'clock this afternoon. In between services there, we are told she was wearing a backpack. She said she had a bomb. She was spreading some sort of powder around. She had a 5-year-old child with her at the time as well. She opened fire with that rifle that she had in her possession and was immediately engaged by a couple of off-duty officers, one a TABC agent and an HPD officer working extra duty as security there. They engaged her, they shot her, they killed her right there. This woman walked in immediately, didn't spend any time conversing with anybody, we're told. Meantime, as we go to some video as we can, whether it is Skyfox or from the ground, I want to read a statement now from the Texas Democratic Party, now posted on Twitter here. Skyfox now. I'm reading here. This is from Texas Democratic Party Chair Gilberto Hinojosa. Today's shooting at Lakewood Church is yet another example of the danger and trauma that reckless gun laws have bestowed upon our communities. No place of worship, shopping center, classroom, or shared public space is safe under the leadership of those that place the gun lobby over Texans' safety. We are praying for the injured and all those impacted by this senseless act of violence. Texans do not deserve to live in fear of a shooting at any time. And as more details emerge, we are grateful for the swift response of first responders under Mayor Whitmire's leadership. That statement from the Texas Democratic Party, Chairman Gilberto Hinojosa. This was a woman who made a decision to do this. And by all accounts, she had the gun, she had the backpack that she said was a bomb, and she was throwing some sort of powder around. She was trying to scare people. She made a conscious decision to scare people. Had a 5-year-old child with her. That child now critically injured at Texas Children's Hospital in the medical center right now. Doctors trying desperately, we hope and presume, to save that child's life. The child didn't do anything. We presume maybe that was child's mom. Mom said, "Come with me." Child does what child's told to do and gets shot in the crossfire while mom is trying to terrorize people through her own actions, her own decisions. If you're just joining us, it has been a terrible afternoon in Southwest Houston. Skyfox over Lakewood Church, the large building right behind the White Tower there, where just before 2 o'clock, we are told, this woman I was just describing walked in, parked her car right at the door, walked in wearing a trench coat, a rifle underneath the trench coat, wearing a backpack, that 5-year-old child in tow. "I've got a bomb," she said, we are told, spreading that powder around, and then she whipped out the gun and started firing. Responding officers working security shot and killed her right there before she could do any more damage. Unfortunately, the 5-year-old child caught in the crossfire and critically injured. Also, a 57-year-old man, where we are told was shot in the leg or the hip. He's at Ben Taub tonight being cared for as well. We did see earlier someone being loaded into an ambulance. It may have been that man we were told about at a press conference. Police Chief Troy Finner, Fire Chief Sam Pena, Mayor John Whitmire, Joel Osteen, the pastor there at Lakewood, all taking turns at the microphone. Mayor Whitmire saying that first responders are doing their job and that this is a perfect example of collaboration in response, and that it's unfortunate that we are finding ourselves responding to this kind of tragedy on this kind of day. We do have some sound from what the mayor said. If you missed it live, let's listen in.
The Houston Fire Department, Police Department was here within minutes. We are now dealing with consequence management of this incident. Now that the threat has been neutralized, we are going to take our time to ensure that any issue, any risk that we see is properly vetted. We have our hazmat team on scene. You see behind us, you have decon units that are participating in collaboration with the Houston Police Department's bomb squad to ensure that we are looking at every aspect that may be of risk. Right now, I can safely say that we have not found anything that is of concern to our community or to this location.
This is, we are seeing one of the bomb squad's robot dogs that are part of their arsenal of tools to use to inspect and clear the Lakewood Church facility. That meticulous search of the facility, every nook and cranny, door, office, classroom, maintenance shed, whatever. There's a dark corner for somebody or something to hide in, they were checking it. It's one of the robot tools that they have. It's fascinating to see, quite frankly. And the fact that they are walking away from Lakewood Church is encouraging for people who are wondering when this scene will be fully secure. We have talked at length in the last couple of hours about how much work goes into searching this place. For those of you who have not been here long, Lakewood Church started its life as a basketball arena for the Houston Rockets, the Summit. If you've ever been into a basketball arena, that's Sheila Jackson Lee right there, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, responding as well, doing her due diligence as an elected official to offer what support she can, what resources she can, this wide-ranging response to this shooter, this woman who was killed after opening fire at Lakewood Church, as the bottom of your screen says. But as I was noting, this was a basketball arena, the Summit. If you've never ever been into a major league NBA basketball arena, think about how many spaces there are to fit so many people. Now imagine having to search it to make sure that there is nothing of danger in there after something like this happened. That's how exhaustive this process needs to be. That's why it is taking so long. We are now, this was just before 2 o'clock, so 2.5, well, almost 3 hours into this. 3.5 hours into this. So much work yet to be done. Slow zoom into the doorway there at Lakewood Church. Nothing of great note to be able to discern there. We do know that the woman's vehicle, suspected vehicle, was parked, is parked right at the curb into the doorway at the main entrance to Lakewood Church. There it is. That's Sky Fox over the scene right there. This is the vehicle the woman drove in drove in to the church, we are told. The doors are open. They have been searching it. My guess is that there was first a robot inspection to make sure that there was nothing of immediate danger, and then they'll go through and try to get what clues they can. Who was this woman? Was she a member of the congregation here at Lakewood? Was she not? Was she trying to find somebody there? Was it just a source of her angst? So many questions. We don't know the answers to them. It's part of the investigation right now, but this is evidence. This is part of the crime scene, that vehicle right there. And inside, where the woman lay now dead after she opened fire and was shot by security guards, a TABC agent, and an HPD officer working extra duty. They engaged her immediately. Her backpack is part of the evidence. And maybe, hopefully, if that child survives, maybe the child can offer some insight into what maybe the woman said, what clues she might have offered. This is the surrounding area around Lakewood, and what is nice and encouraging to see is that there is not urgency among the people who are now walking around. As terrible as this was, as terrible as this is, and the indelible mark it will leave on the psyche of so many people, there is not immediate danger right now, and that is the encouraging thing that we can take away from this, if anything, as we try to work through what happened. Okay. All right, we want to go to Ruben Dominguez, who we understand he has had some contact with. Ruben, we understand someone who was reunited.
Yeah, Tom, that's right. Just a few minutes ago, we were out here at the corner of Timmons and Richmond. If you see way behind me here, you have the Southwest Freeway Lakewood Church behind me. That is where that news conference that you were talking about wrapped up a short time ago. We made our way back here to the intersection where we caught up with some folks that were reunited, not because they had been separated, but a lady that had heard about the shooting, saw it on the news, came down here because she knew that her friends were in the church. They were actually part of the worship group getting ready to take part in the celebration in the 2 o'clock mass, and we had a chance to talk to her. Take a listen. Just saw you reuniting here with this your family?
They're part of the worship team, yes.
How did you guys get separated?
I wasn't here. We were at our church, and they're the worship team. They were singing when the incident happened.
How happy were you to see that they were all right, that they were safe?
Great. They just don't have their purse or phones or nothing, so that was so difficult. They were communicating by another person's phone. So it was like...
I'm glad you guys are all right. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, Tom, you had mentioned how many people, just the trauma of being inside a venue at one of the largest churches in the United States when gunfire breaks out. If you can imagine not knowing what's going on. And we did see a lot of people who were visibly shaken when we arrived here about an hour ago, waiting to be picked up, waiting for a loved one. So seeing folks to reunite and actually some tears of joy was definitely a good thing. The scene right now, most of the people that, as I said just a couple of seconds ago, that have been out here either waiting for a loved one, coming out of the LA Fitness, the Lifetime Fitness, have pretty much all gone home. It's dissipated, and things are pretty calm at the moment. But we're going to keep an eye out and see if we can catch up to any more folks that were in the building or had family members or had just possibly been reunited. Right now, we're live outside of Lakewood Church. Ruben Dominguez, Fox 26 News.
Hey, Ruben, before you go, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, I can.
So we were looking at the view from Skyfox, people milling about, and I was making just kind of the observation that the fact that there wasn't this terrible urgency is probably a good sign that the immediate danger has passed. As you see these people, as you talk to these people, certainly this will leave an indelible mark on them. But for the moment, tell me, I get the sense that they're just grateful to be okay right now.
Absolutely. And again, a lot of the folks that were here just an hour ago when we arrived, you saw a lot more of that kind of like that tense look and of not knowing and what just happened among some of the folks that were waiting to be picked up. But right now, and I think the mayor said it right at the top of the news conference, the response by multiple departments, by law enforcement to get out here, get this scene under control, make sure everything was moving in an orderly fashion, I think has contributed a lot to there isn't that sense of like you said, urgency or nervousness among folks. They know that, the shooter, that's over. And again, most of the people have been reunited, and everyone we see now kind of going about their business, definitely a very different scene than just 1 hour ago. In fact, this was all lined with police cars, and you can see some of them pulling away. We've got Harris County sheriffs moving away. I just saw Constable Al Rosen just a couple of minutes ago. Actually said hello to him as he was here at the light and headed back to his part of town. We see some Houston Fire Department personnel starting to leave the scene, and as you mentioned, they're making probably that last sweep through the building right now, and hopefully it won't be too much longer. These streets will be open. Folks will be able to get back and forth, and hopefully things return back to normal pretty soon, Tom.
Well, we work on repairing the psyche of so many people after something like this. Ruben Dominguez there outside Lakewood Church. Thank you, Ruben. I appreciate it. It's 5:28 this afternoon on this Sunday. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. Bottom of the hour on this Sunday afternoon, we continue our breaking news coverage of a shooting at Lakewood Church this afternoon just before 2 o'clock. Here's what we know. I'll briefly go over the major details here. We are told just before 2, in between services at Lakewood Church, a woman pulled up to the main entrance with a 5-year-old child in tow, wearing a trench coat, wearing a backpack. She walked in. She said she had a bomb. She started spreading some sort of white powder around, and then she took that rifle from underneath her trench coat and opened fire. 2 officers working extra duty patrol security, a TABC agent and an HPD officer, immediately engaged that woman, we are told, and shot her dead right there in the crossfire. That 5-year-old child was critically injured, was taken to Texas Children's Hospital in critical condition. There was also a 57-year-old man at the church, a parishioner, who was shot in the leg or the hip. He was taken to Ben Taub Hospital. As we look at the Skyfox scene over Lakewood Church at present, traffic continues to crawl along the Southwest Freeway, and this is a recorded video, I'm sorry, and that heavy police presence outside, law enforcement presence outside Lakewood Church. We don't know who this woman was. We don't know whether she was a parishioner. We don't know what beef she had, what demons she was fighting, and why she thought that this was the way to try to handle them. Anyway, so much to go. We believe this was the 57-year-old man being carted away to an HPD, rather a Houston Fire Department ambulance on his way to Ben Taub. So we're hopeful that that man will be okay as well. There was about an hour ago a press briefing by a variety of sources. We want to start with Police Chief, HPD Police Chief Troy Finner. Listen.
A female, approximately 30, 35 years old, entered the property on the west side here in the parking lot of Lakewood Church. She entered the building. She was armed with a long rifle and a trench coat with a backpack, accompanied by a small child, approximately 4 to 5 years old. Once she entered, at some point she began to fire. I want to compliment the off-duty officers who were working extra employment here. One TABC agent, 4 years of service, 38 years old. An HPD off-duty officer, 28 years old, 2 years of service. Both officers, officer and agent, engaged, striking the female. She's deceased here on the scene. Unfortunately, the 5-year-old kid was hit and is at critical condition at our local hospital.
I want Houstonians and surrounding communities to know that the first responders are doing their job in protecting the public, Houstonians, and surrounding communities. I also want everyone to know that this is a perfect example of the collaboration between departments. It's exactly what we've been calling for. HPD, constables. I could just go through a list of multiple agencies representing their agencies in a very responsive way.
Houston Mayor John Whitmire and Houston Police Chief Troy Finner there. As we noted, this happened just before a service that was to commence at 2 o'clock this afternoon. There were a lot of people inside Lakewood Church. It is a busy place, as you can imagine. On a Sunday, a day of worship, a lot of people who had to run for their lives, not knowing what was happening inside their church on Sunday. Fox 26's Jade Fleury is on the ground not far from there. She has been in contact with some of those people. She has this update now. Jade.
Yeah, Tom, we're still out here outside of the family reunification site. We've seen about probably 100 people walking from Lifetime Fitness over to what it looks like the parking garage. It looks like they've maybe gotten clearance to leave, but they have been escorted by police, so we haven't gotten a chance to speak to those people. But about 20 to 30 minutes ago, we spoke to a woman who says she heard those gunshots getting closer, saying that they startled her.
Lo único que me afecta a mí es la muerte de un niño. Es la muerte de un niño tan pequeñito que no tenía por qué pagar las consecuencias de gente adulta que no tiene nada que ver. Pero nosotros estábamos en el salón y empezamos a escuchar los disparos y eran más fuertes, más fuertes, más fuertes. Pero de ahí ya nos llevaron a otro lado y ya nos quedamos ahí hasta que vino la policía. Pero hay que orar mucho por esa gente que no tiene sensibilidad para matar a un niño.
Can you tell us what she said?
She said that she was just, I think, laying in the sanctuary, and all of a sudden she hears a lot of shots that were from a distance, and they started to become more and more loud. And then they took her to a place where she could hide for a while. She's been there for like an hour. And she was just talking about that she feels really bad that somebody killed a child, that no child should ever die because of consequences like this, and that it's just really unfair.
And there is still police presence out here along with EMS, but it does look like it's slowly starting to clear out. We will bring you guys more information as it comes in.
Nate Flurry outside Lakewood Church at the Reunification Center at the Lifetime Fitness Center, which is adjacent to the church where people were reconnecting after everybody had to scatter. There is a piece of video circulating on social media that purports to show a streaming presentation at Lakewood Church at the time of the shooting. There's a man speaking on camera. Clearly in the lobby of the church, people milling around in the background, speaking Spanish. This was a Spanish service that was about to begin. They were preparing for that. And off in the background of this video clip, you hear the gunshots. I counted 3 quick ones, boom, 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 a pause, and then another shot. And then people scattering. That's what drove people out. That was the fear that made people run. I'm at church. It's Sunday. There's a shooter in my church. Houston Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee there walking around, making contact. This is part of her job, making sure that she can bring whatever resources are needed to be brought to bear. I want to go to meteorologist John Dawson, because in the midst of all of this tragedy at Lakewood Church, a lot of our neighbors, especially to the north, had to deal with terrible weather in the form of tornadoes this morning. JD, what do you know?
It's a very active morning for our northern counties, and feel fortunate that we're not reporting a lot of damages from those. We do have some video. When I say a lot of damages, there is some damage that we certainly have some reports of, and again, we have some video that we can look at that sort of describes or shows again some of those scenes that we have had. I believe this is up on Interstate 45 in Walker County, where there was some sort of an outbuilding there, sort of like a barn, where the roof was ripped, parts of it were ripped off and even put into the median. We certainly see also that there are tree limbs that have been knocked down. Still looking for that confirmation of what created that. It could have been straight line winds. It could have been a tornado. You know, they always wait and go and survey that afterwards when there's not any threats happening, and that takes 24 hours or so to get those official reports. We do have one report, and I'm going to show you that here in a minute of a confirmed tornado from a trained spotter that saw that while it was on the ground. But otherwise, the damages that we're seeing and that we've got reports on, we don't have the confirmation on whether or not it was a tornado or straight line winds, but certainly you can see that damage. So getting back sort of to the bigger picture of what we're looking at here, this large storm system bringing big impacts to the state of Texas. The front that's getting dragged along with that is what helped create those storms this morning, and it's still moving through the Houston area. And then back into the Panhandle, you could see these pink shaded counties. That's where we have a winter storm warning that's still in effect. And so snow falling and some much cooler temperatures happening back for that portion of the state. And again, the Panhandle going to continue to see this wintry precipitation for another 12 to 24 hours. The rest of us dealing with some rain, but we're getting all that rain moved over towards into Louisiana, where we are going to be continuing to see some clear skies. So our radar is clear, and we're not expecting any more rain the rest of today, and really we're going to get several days of a break from the rain. But our storm reports that we're seeing, you'll notice well north of the downtown Houston area, several different pockets here where we have reports of some hail. That wind damage on Interstate 45 that we were just looking at here indicated as well. And as I said, confirmed at the moment, we're going to have one tornado. And the reason why we can say that is confirmed over in Grimes County near Richards is that we had a trained spotter that saw that and identified it as a tornado. It, again, looked relatively weak, but it was a tornado on the ground. And that was about 9:05 this morning when that happened. And then we continued to see the reports as basically this, from this point headed across Lake Livingston is sort of the path that line of storms took, and that did cross Interstate 45 where we saw that video of the damage there, kind of more or less near Waverly, I think would be a good way to sort of identify that south of the Huntsville area. So here's our rainfall totals. You can see for the last couple of days or this weekend, most of that rain happening north of Interstate 10. Some of these accumulations are notable, close to 3 inches of rain, and some spots for sure over 2 inches. Measurable rain anywhere that you see the blue, but that's less than an inch, and we're going to continue to see that sort of situation. The stormy weather now moves over into Louisiana, so we're clear of that. We've got really some very pleasant conditions out there right now. Partly cloudy skies, about 75 degrees. The winds out of the north, that's going to continue to bring in the drier air. I'll zip through the futurecast here real quick just to show you there's not much to say, except that we continue to see some cloud cover working in. We're not going to be completely cloud-free tonight, but those breezy conditions for sure are also going to remain around into tomorrow. So for the 7-day forecast, we really look for several pleasant days and some cool mornings. We're back into the 40s for the next 3 mornings. Very breezy tomorrow. Our best outdoor day will be on Tuesday. And yes, I was hiding the rain there on the Friday and Saturday because it enters the forecast once again right when we're moving into the weekend. But timing right now looks hopeful that we'll be able to end next weekend with some sunshine once again.
All right, JD, thank you. We hope the best for people who have to clean up after those tornadoes up north of Houston. 5:44. We'll be right back after this. Continuing our breaking news of a woman who was shot and killed at Lakewood Church after opening fire with a rifle with a 5-year-old in tow. That 5-year-old in critical condition at Texas Children's Hospital in the medical center. A man, a 57-year-old parishioner there at Lakewood Church, shot in the hip, taken to Ben Taub. The woman shot and killed by off-duty security working there at Lakewood Church. So much going on there. I want to go to Abigail Dye. She has been on the ground near the church, and she has this latest bit of information. Abigail.
Tom, it has certainly been a very chaotic few hours. We've been on this story since it broke just around 1:30, 2 p.m. And at this point, it seems that the scene is slowing down. It's almost like law enforcement and everyone around here can kind of take a step back and breathe as they continue to gather the last bits here. If you were with us just about 20, 30 minutes ago, there were a lot more police units lining these streets, a lot more flashing lights. Now, a few of those seem to be clearing out. I'm sure these roads will be opening back up. And we still have plenty of law enforcement on the scene, as you can see. But it is not as chaotic, not as urgent, not as crazy as earlier. Earlier, we just had all of these questions. We didn't know how many victims there were, what exactly was happening. But at this point, we have the information, and law enforcement, they're just picking up the pieces. They're cleaning everything up. And over here to the left, can we, do we have a clear view of this vehicle at this point? So this vehicle, if you can see it here on your screen, is the vehicle we believe that this suspect arrived in. The police chief, Troy Fenner, that a white car came to the west side of the church here that we're on, and the suspects got out of that vehicle armed with the rifle and went into the church with a child, had a child with her wearing a trench coat and a backpack, and then opened fire. And as we've told you, that woman is now deceased, and that child is in critical condition. And I think that is who's on everyone's mind now. This child brought into a church with an adult we can assume that they trusted, and ended up getting caught in crossfire and now is in critical condition. I mean, I've been saying it time and again, this story just gives me chills. It is absolutely heartbreaking to think that so many people were in this church today, in a place that you think you're safe, in a place that you go for love, worship, community, and you just hear gunshots ring out. Speaking to these witnesses, we've heard that everyone just hit the floor terrified and prayed for their life. An absolutely tragic situation here, but like we have been saying as well, I mean, it could have gone a lot worse. Someone armed with a rifle walking into a very populated church. We can all play that tape through and think of the worst case scenario here. So again, you know, this scene behind me clearing up a little bit, calming down a little bit. We actually have like some civilian vehicles coming down the road here now. So things are opening back up, calming down, but still a very, very heavy police presence. As you can see, these are those civilian vehicles coming through, which was once a very, very chaotic scene. It is now calm enough that we have some transportation, some people transporting through. So it's really relieving to see a scene kind of simmer down like this one. And of course, your typical scene would not look like this still after being simmered down. But as we've brought you this live coverage for several hours now, you saw what it looked like earlier. And there were dozens and dozens. I mean, I could even say probably 100 police units on scene. And it is, like the police chief said, it is good that police got here so quickly. That response was so quick and so heavy, and this threat was mitigated. And I'm just going to remind us that the woman did come inside the church, according to police, with a backpack, saying she had an explosive device in the backpack. And at this point, police say they haven't found any explosives, but that's just another terrifying piece to this story. But like I said, over here on the west side of the church, simmering down, the threat is mitigated. And after a very, very terrifying few hours, everyone is just hoping and praying for this 5-year-old and, of course, this other 57-year-old male victim. And we'll continue to stay here, gather some information. We'll be here as this scene continues to wrap up. For now, back to you, Tom.
Abigail, as you talk about that 5-year-old who is in critical condition at Texas Children's Hospital tonight, the woman was shot and killed by off-duty officers, that TABC officer, the HPD officer working extra duty. And one of the things Chief Finner talked about was the agony that they probably have knowing that a child was shot in the midst of that. And the chief took pains to say that while it may be difficult, the blame for that child's injuries is not the responding officers, but rather the woman who brought that child in. Abigail Dye outside Lakewood.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, Tom. Yeah, I mean, echoing that, it is absolutely the fault of this woman. Bringing a child into a church, and I mean, we can't sit here and speculate, but you can think that bringing a child with you to commit a crime, you knew that something bad could happen to that child. And that's what the police chief was saying. What happened to this child is the fault of that woman who decided to commit this egregious act. And like you were saying, it's not clear at this point what gunfire hit that child, because of course, like we've been saying, these officers fired their weapons once the suspect opened fire. So the child was caught in that crossfire, and like you said, it doesn't matter what bullet hit that child. It is the fault of this woman who decided to walk in dressed in a trench coat, armed with a rifle, and open fire on an innocent group of people at a church right here in Southwest Houston. I mean, we hear about these things all over the nation, these tragic mass shootings and these tragic active shooting situations. And we always don't want it to happen here at home. It's terrifying to think of. And then when a situation like this does happen here, it makes you realize how real it is, how real this is today right here in Houston. Like we've been saying, this could have escalated into a mass shooting situation because of the circumstances. But that quick response by law enforcement mitigated that threat. And you know, luckily there weren't any more victims, but it is still so tragic that an innocent child and an innocent man are both recovering in the hospital. There are very few words to describe the kind of person to do something like this and the kind of situation that these people found themselves in, having to hit the floor and pray for their lives at a church during a service. It's just absolutely tragic, Tom, and that child is in all of our thoughts and prayers.
Abigail, thank you. Appreciate it. They're outside Lakewood Church. I want to move now to Ruben Dominguez. He is not far away. He has also been talking to people who are inside. Ruben.
Yeah, Tom, things here have pretty much wrapped up for the afternoon. Luckily, just take a look right here behind me. I will tell you that we rolled up to this position right here, Richmond at Timmons. It was probably, I don't know, 50, 60 law enforcement vehicles, multiple agencies. There wasn't an empty spot on either side of the sidewalk. And now, as you can tell, we're down to just a handful of vehicles as they are wrapping up this scene, getting ready to clear the scene, open the streets back up. And like you said, we tried to find as many people to talk to as we could, and we did run into several folks who described the scene inside, what it was like. One young man that I spoke to, this was a Spanish language mass, so a lot of the people in attendance do, English is not their first language, but in Spanish, he told me they were just getting to their seats. They were just waiting for the service to start shortly before 2 o'clock. As they were sitting very close to the stage, he heard a pop, but he didn't really react to it, and neither did most of the congregation. But then suddenly that was followed by several more shots. That's when the crowd knew something was wrong. That's when members of the church started laying down on the floor, trying to take cover behind a seat. He described the scene as just confusion, not knowing what to do. Shortly after that, members of the Lakewood staff and other officials, he said law enforcement, maybe security, came and started letting folks know that they were going to start getting folks to the doors to get them out of the building. A lot of folks were quickly directed over to the Lifetime Fitness right behind me here, right behind Tony's Restaurant in Greenway Plaza, where folks could kind of gather up in case they were separated or in case loved ones could come and find them. We did find another woman who had been to the 11 a.m. service, heard about the news, came here. She just said she wanted to pray for the people that were involved in this. She had her Bible with her, and she was on her way to get as close as she could, because she said that it touched her heart, and prayer was the only way she knew to hopefully do her part after she heard of the shooting. And then finally, right a couple of feet from me, right here in this intersection, a couple reunited, a group reunited, very tearful reunion. A woman who was not at the service, she was at another church, heard about the shooting. Her two good friends were part of they were worship leaders, and they were about to be part of the service that was going to take place. She couldn't reach them. She wasn't sure what was going on. When she got here and finally found them, she said it's because they didn't have their cell phones and just kind of got separated from some of their belongings when this all happened. But luckily now things a much calmer scene out here, and thanks to the quick work of some off-duty police officers who were in the building, this did not become a mass tragedy. So going to send it back to you now, Tom.
Ruben Dominguez outside Lakewood. Thank you, Ruben. We appreciate it. Before we let you go at the top of the hour here, we want to get a last check of the weather, because we know that is of interest to you as well. JD.
Yeah, we did have today as a Fox 26 storm alert day, and we saw the severe weather move across our northern county. So again, very quiet for most of the Houston metro area. Did not see that stormy weather. The storm alert day is over for us. We're not looking for any really even rain to be around for the rest of the day. We will expect a breezy day tomorrow and some cool mornings. We're back into the 40s for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday morning. And then once we get into the end of the week, we're talking about some more rain chances. I think our higher amounts of rain will be on Friday, late in the day and the Friday night, lingering into Saturday morning. But I think we'll end the weekend with some sunshine.
JD, thank you, and thank you very much for your time. So much happening today. Not a lot of it good. We're going to round it all up. We'll share what we know tonight at 9. Until then, good night.